Are you ready?
Yeah, your mic is live.
Okay, Marty. Well,
Don't
we're
don't
gonna.
talk don't talk yet. I'll do an intro and then I'll cut to you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Amateur Radio Roundtable. I am Marty Sullaway, KC1CWF, and as you may notice, there is no Tom tonight. Tom has actually been on a road trip all week at his house out in North Carolina, and has just returned home. But so he asked if he could take the night off and catch up on some sleep, and maybe that I could fill in. So I'm not doing it alone. It's a lot for me to do. So lucky enough, we have Joe Eisenbert, K0NEB from Nebraska here, coming in remotely to talk to us tonight. How are you doing there, Joe?
I'm doing just fine, Marty. And hello from Lincoln, Nebraska, where it's been pretty mild all week. Actually, in the 70s, we've had one of our warmer Halloweens on record last night. Lots of trick-or-treaters, although not as many as in past years. But it was a wonderful evening last night, as opposed to the snowy ones we've had in the past.
Okay, well, great. It's great to be here. I didn't really go trick or treating last night. I just kind of sat at home and handed out candy. But tonight we have a great show planned. Right, we're gonna talk about kit building, and we will talk about hamfests, and then maybe Tom will pop in later. Maybe Tom will pop in later, right?
Yep, we're hoping that we might actually get to hear from Tom. But for tonight, it's you and me running the Amateur Radio Roundtable.
Great. So I think, 1 second. We're gonna stand by here. I hear, there is no audio coming through. Stand by.
Okay.
We may have to start over here. Okay. Some people are saying in chat that there is audio issues. Some people are saying it's fine. I'm just gonna wait for the verdict here. Stand by 1 second. I am lower and distorted somewhat. Oh, that doesn't. Okay. Yeah. Can somebody just tell anybody in chat? Just tell me how my audio is sounding, please. Okay. We're just gonna wait a second here, Joe. Okay, audio is working fine now. Let's just stand by for the verdict from Tom. Okay, yeah, seems like everything is good here. In from the feed, a little bit low levels. People are reporting, but we'll just deal with it as we can. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if anybody is having difficulties hearing the signals, and just know that we're trying as best as possible to make it happen. So without further ado, I think this is a good chance to just kind of jump right into it. So Joe, we have some we're starting with photos, or starting with kits.
We're going to start off with some kits. And I was putting a whole bunch of photos into a folder that I could show. And for some reason, about two-thirds of the ones I dropped in the folder disappeared. And so we're going to do the best we can and show what we have and kind of talk about some hamfests that we've been to also this summer, as well as this fall. But apparently they're not lost. They're just in a folder that I don't know where they got dragged and dropped to. So that's going to be interesting. So we might have to do a little searching here and pull up some other photos. Right off the bat, I wanted to talk a little bit about night fire kits. Now, these are available at vakits.com. vakits.com. And they're pretty reasonably priced. Like this one is $7. I'll show you one that's like $12. This is a simple variable adjustable 1 amp power supply kit. And it has the bridge rectifier, so all you need is a 24-volt AC transformer, and you hook it up to this, and it rectifies it, makes it DC, and you can adjust it to any voltage from 2 volts to 24 volts. So for $7, that's not a bad deal. They come from Ocala, Florida, so these are not Chinese kits. They have pretty reasonable directions packed in them. This is an audio amp kit. This was like $12. Also from vakits.com, and got these at the Huntsville Ham Fest. Now, one of the neat things that he does with his kits is there's a business card inside, and the business card has the resistor color code printed on it. So it's a great guide to keep on your bench when you're sorting through your resistors and building your kit. This kit here, I have not built yet. This is a 40-meter CW transceiver, QRP, of course. I think it puts out about a watt or so, maybe 2 watts, I think. And it's called the S49er. And this one, I think, was something in the lines of about $12 or so. And it comes with a plastic case in it. Now, it looks like brown covered, and that's because it has an adhesive to keep it from getting all scratched up. So when you assemble it, you peel those coatings off, and then there's standoffs and screws and stuff in there. So not only do you get a nice little kit for a few bucks, but it comes with the case as well. And it's a nice kind of a lucite or plexiglass clear case. And it makes, like I said, a 40-meter CW transceiver. Now, a lot of guys are using this particular kit, as well as other similar ones, with a DDS-type synthesizer, so they can, instead of being crystal controlled, they can put it anywhere in the 40-meter CW band. And so there's a lot of things you can do with it. Now, I'm going to show you a little box. This comes from Hobby Lobby. This is a little wooden box, and it opens up like so. And you're going to say, well, what the heck is going to go in that? Well, we're going to show you that later on in our show when we show some of the slides from the Hamfest, because the 4-state QRP group is going to put a kit out that fits in that Hobby Lobby box. Now, of course, it looks pretty plain now. You can sand it and stain it and put little plaques on it or whatever you want and decorate it all you want. It will be a regenerative receiver that's very sensitive. I think he said the sensitivity is minus 120 dBm. Very stable regenerative receiver, along with a modified version of what we call the NS40 CW transmitter kit. Now, I don't have my NS40 with me, but basically it's a easy enough kit that a beginning kit builder can be done with it in 15 to 20 minutes. And it's a 5-watt CW transmitter. And there will be a place to plug in crystals into it, and so you can change frequencies within the 40-meter band. And there will be a spot function, so you can tune the receiver to your transmit frequency, so you're all ready to go. So that kit is going to come out before the end of the year. And as soon as it does, of course, I'll be building it and writing about it, because it's kind of a solid-state kit that's based on the World War II Paraset spy radio. And there are guys that have built the actual tube-type one to the specs of the originals. And so there's lots of those out there, but for the rest of the world, there will be a solid-state version that will go into that box. And that's coming courtesy of the 4-state QRP group. And the 4-state QRP group design engineer for that is David Kripe. And his call sign is NM0S. And his real-world job, besides designing kits for 4-state QRP, is he is a design engineer for Rockwell Collins, otherwise known as Collins Radio in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And so we have the best in engineering minds working on this kit, and it should be a lot of fun. He's also working on a tube-type CW transceiver that will follow up this kit and maybe mounted in a similar box. Here's a kit I titled my column for November CQ, What the Heck? Because this is from Heck Kits. This is a guy in Texas. And we'll light it up and we'll put it up here against the camera. And you can see it's in the 20-meter band. And what this is, it's kind of like the antenna dipper kit in that you hook your antenna to it, and then you tune the VFO here, and it tells you when you hit the resonant point because the LED goes out. So you can check your antenna's SWR by watching the LED go out, and it helps you, like you could tune it to a particular frequency you want your antenna resonant at, and you can trim your antenna or adjust your antenna tuner till that light goes out. In addition, if you push these two buttons to the outside mode, it's a frequency counter. And of course now there's no signal coming into it, but this kit also becomes a frequency counter. So kind of a great little tool to have in the shack, and a really, really good idea. And not too difficult to put together. This is one that you could easily do in one evening, and I wrote all about that in the November issue of CQ Magazine, which just hits the mailboxes today. Let's look at another kit here. This time of year, the AM broadcast band, especially here in the Midwest, gets a lot quieter because we don't have the normal thunderstorms that we see here in the Midwest. So crystal sets become a lot of fun. For those of you who are uninitiated into crystal sets, that is the first way that radio was received, and that was simply the use of a detector, coils and capacitors to make a tuned circuit, and a set of high impedance headphones that simply receive the energy over the air. In other words, it's a radio receiver that's truly a radio receiver because it receives, just the RF energy in the air. It has no power amplifier, no audio amplifier, anything like that, and powers the headphones. So, of course, it's not going to be blasting loud unless you're just down the street from the broadcast transmitter. But the miracle of this thing is to be 50 miles away from an AM radio station and actually be able to hear it with no audio amplifier. And that's the way radio used to be. And it's still fun to do that. There's still plenty of AM radio stations, especially some of the bigger 50 kilowatters that you can listen to. But here in town, we have 3 1 kilowatters, at least at night. One's 5 kW during the day. And I can hear them just fine on this. One of them's about 4 miles away, and the others are about 6 miles away and 8 miles away. But still all pretty easily heard on this, and quite loud without an audio amplifier. You can obviously hook up an audio amplifier stage to it, but that's half the fun of a crystal radio, is to be able to listen to a radio using simply the power of the RF that actually is reaching your antenna. Of course, the more RF you get into this thing, the better chances you are to hear it, and hear it more loudly. So I hooked this up to my 160-meter top-fed loaded sloper antenna, and that brought in plenty of AM broadcast RF. Now we'll take a close look at this thing. You'll notice that there are 2 different taps on the coil, and there's several different taps. There's 2 different leads that go to it, and there's lots of different taps. And one of them, let's see here. The black wire is the detector tap, and the white wire is the loading tap. And what it does is it lets you find the hot spot and the resonant point of what you're trying to listen to. Now, the cool thing about this is that coil is 100 turns. Now, if I was to tell you you could build this kit in less than an hour, I'd be lying, because it takes a lot longer than that, because you have to wind this 100-turn coil and make these loops that become taps and strip those out. So it does take quite a while. I would say about 80 to 90% of the time building this kit is working on that coil. Once that's completed, the rest goes together very quickly. The circuit board is a breadboard. It's simply a piece of wood that is supplied with the kit, and the holes are even pre-drilled. So you have pilot holes pre-tapped so that you can just screw the wood screws in there and put the clips on and the solder lugs and so forth to make your connections. And it has two really nice variable capacitors. We'll get a kind of a close-up of these guys. And one of them actually tunes the antenna, and the other one is the actual tuning of the tuned circuit. So what you end up with is a pretty interesting crystal set. Now, the detector I'm using is the 1N34 diode that was supplied with it. I do have an actual 1920s cat's whisker detector that I have not tried on this yet, but I'm going to. And a lot of people tell me I'll be surprised that the Galena cat's whisker will be at least as sensitive as that darn little diode. But they're a little touchy to play with, so we'll mess around with it. Now, the other neat feature about this crystal set, as opposed to most crystal set kits, is that you can actually hear HF broadcast. It goes up to about 9 or 10 megahertz, and just by changing the taps on the coil once again. And so only more powerful signals have I heard, like WWV. I have heard WTWW from Nashville, as well as WWCR on shortwave, and Radio Havana, Cuba, believe it or not, all on my little headset plugged into this crystal set. So it is possible to hear shortwave broadcasts from quite a ways away on a crystal set. This kit is a Dunwoody crystal radio. It comes from Borden Radio Company of Houston, Texas. I got this at the Houston Hamfest last year, and I think this will be in the December issue of CQ magazine. So look for that, and a nice winter project to play with. Marty, I don't know if you've ever played with crystal sets, but they are a lot of fun. I'm guessing in your area you'd probably hear, I think, WBZ, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, WBZ is right down the road from me, and
it's about 50 kW.
Yes, it's 50 kW, full all day, all night. Big signal, always very loud, and great programming too. WBCQ is I'd argue the premier shortwave station, not shortwave, AM broadcast at 1030 on the dial. One of the better ones. I've
heard it out here sometimes too. Now, finally, we're going to talk about something that isn't a kit but was. Okay. For those of you who see this nice leather bag, it says Fluke on it. Okay. Fluke meters are wonderful, wonderful things to have on your bench because they're probably the most accurate meter in the world and well worth the money. But a lot of us can't afford it. So a lot of us have the $3 meters and so forth from Harbor Freight or Radio Shack meters and so forth, which work okay.
I think you found one of those in my yard when you came to my house.
Yes. Yes, I did. I have those everywhere, including in my car. But this is a Fluke 79 Series 2. Now, I bought it for $20 in a flea market because when you turned it on, half the segments in the LCD display randomly were very dim or very much not visible. So I thought, well, I don't know how much a new LCD would be, but I thought I'd take a gamble, and I bought this thing for $20. It had the leather case. It has test probes in it. Let's see here. See if I can hold those up. That look like they've been hardly ever used. And the case is in great shape, and so I thought, well, for $20, at least I got another set of probes for my Fluke 77, which I've had for about 22 years. But doing a quick bit of research, I remembered that there was some kind of a defect in some kind of connection to the circuit board that causes the displays to go bad. So instead of having to spend quite a bit of money for a new LCD display, I discovered that there's a problem in what's called the elastomer connection, which is kind of a rubbery kind of a thing that makes a shock connection between, so it doesn't break the display if the meter gets dropped. And it goes between the glass and the circuit board, and it makes contact so that all the LCD elements are connected to the circuit board. And there's two of those little pieces. And what happens after a while is they deteriorate. So I found a source online. Go to, I think it's flukerepairkits.com, or if you just Google Fluke repair kit, it costs about $20 for the kit. You get the two elastomers, and I think you get an alcohol pad and so forth. And what you do is you take the meter apart, which is just 4 screws, take the battery off so you don't cause any problems. And then you take a screwdriver and you pop the cover off of the LCD display, and the glass just comes out in your hand. And you clean it off. They tell you to use a pencil eraser, but I didn't. I just used an alcohol wipe like you would use to give somebody a shot. Those seem to work really good, a medical alcohol wipe. And I just wiped the contacts clean on the circuit board and on the glass. So after that was completely clean, I dropped the 2 new elastomers into it. Of course, I've removed the old ones. And then I put the display back together, snapped the cover on it, put the main board back into the case, close the case up, and 4 screws later and 10 minutes later, guess what? You turn that meter on and you look at the display and everything lights up perfectly. So there, for $40 after you invest in the parts and 10 minutes of your time, you have a working Fluke 79 Series 2. And it's got lots of features. It does capacitance, and it does lower frequencies it'll count, and it's got touch hold and goes up to 10 amps of current measurement. Really, really well-built meter. And I would say if I was going to spend $40 on a Radio Shack meter or $40 on one of these, Marty, you know where I'd go, and that's one of these.
You'd get that.
Yeah, and it was very clean. It's well-built, and it's going to get a lot of lifetime on my bench as well as when I'm doing kit builds. So that's kind of it. That's going to be in the December issue. I have to look at that. Maybe it's December or January issue. January issue, I think, of CQ Magazine. You'll see my close-up photos and so forth of doing the Fluke meter. And like I said, some of the Fluke meters you can't do that to, but any of the 77, I think, and 79 series and so forth, most of those you'll be able to perform that fix on. And actually, I found out that if the LCD itself is broke, some of those are as cheap as $40 for the display and extremely easy to replace. But most often, the LCD is not broken. It is simply the elastomer connectors in there, which you just pop out with your fingers, and you drop new ones in after you've cleaned the contacts on both sides. And like I said, it's a 10-minute operation and results in a lifetime of a great meter being extended. And something always great to have on hand is a good Fluke. Most Fluke meters are pretty immune to RF fields, unless it's really, really high. They're pretty immune, and like I said, it's the most accurate meters I have. Marty, so now I think we're about time to say something about Icom.
Yep. But before we do, I just think we have a few quick questions from chat I think we should get through. And then
okay.
I think Icom has a message for us. But first, somebody in chat wanted to know, what is the name of the, I believe, the antenna analyzer? What is the brand name or the branding or the something somebody can Google it by?
Okay, it comes from Heck Kits, HECKITS. So if you kind of Google that, and I would have to look here. You'll probably hear me typing on the keyboard. We'll get the web page. It's HECKITS HECKITS.com. HECKITS.com will get you that kit. He also has a dip meter, which I will be building shortly and writing about as well. And he has several other kits as well. So he's kind of a newcomer to the kit business and makes a fine little kit. And he's also an electronic engineer.
Well, that's just terrific, and it's really great to hear about these fantastic kits. And I think they're pretty cool. If you're not a kit builder, maybe it's something to try. Get out your old soldering iron. Maybe you can build something you can use in your station. So they seem pretty cool. But before we keep going, and we're gonna come back just shortly, and Joe and I are gonna talk about some Hamfest he's been to, some sports games he's watched, and everywhere in between. But before we do, we have a word from Icom. So let's roll that.
The holiday season is here. Looking for the ideal gift for your favorite contester? The holidays are just around the corner, and Icom has an array of radios to fill your stockings or place under the tree. Perfect for the contester on the go, try the IC7300. It's a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design. The real fun starts here. Features include RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, a real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. Push the performance even further with the IC7600. Following in the footsteps of Icom's flagship radio, the IC7600 has an intuitive operation and the latest DSP technologies, which include digital IF filter, dual DSP, 5.8-inch ultra-wide TFT display, and a high-resolution real-time spectrum scope. Raise the bar even more with the IC7851. Hear what others cannot hear with this HF through 50 MHz transceiver. It has reciprocal mixing dynamic range, crystal clear local oscillator, a spectrum scope, dual receivers, and digital voice recorder. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios.
We appreciate Icom America's support of Amateur Radio Roundtable. And now I think we're going to actually do some pictures. Joe is going to switch some things around here, I think, in a second, and talk some Handfest. So what's the plan here, Joe?
Well, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to share you the screen here, and we'll see how that works.
Okay, I have your screen. And there we go. Looks
okay,
good. We get some pictures.
And I apologize for photos being out of order. I had dragged and dropped a bunch into a folder, and for some reason about a third or half of them didn't get there. I don't know where they went, but they're not where they belong. So we're going to have to go back to the originals to find these. This is a picture from the first weekend in October. Went to the Southeast Iowa Hamfest. And this is in West Liberty, Iowa, which is just east of Iowa City. So I stayed with my friends in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and took in this little Sunday morning Hamfest, which is a lot of fun. A lot of it is outdoors. So, of course, in the fall in Iowa, it's going to be a little bit chilly. But actually, it was pretty mild. It was chilly early on, and then it warmed up into the 70s. So, been a very mild fall here. This is something that you don't see very often. That is a complete entire Yaesu 101 Twins station, and absolutely in cherry shape. You could open up the lid and look in there, and it wasn't all corroded out or anything, and the tubes look clean. Looks like it's hardly ever used. An absolute beautiful condition 101 Twins. In fact, I think the transmitter still had the plastic coating on the front panel. This is inside that Hamfest. Now, I mentioned the kit that's in the box, and this is the prototype of it. We'll take a closer look. We'll kind of zoom in. And you can see the transceiver. There's the on-off receive transmit switch. There's a place to plug in crystals, an antenna jack, power jack, tuning, and so forth, and all the controls on there. It all fits in that nice little box. And when you buy the kit, it's going to come with 4 little wooden pieces that you glue into the corners of your box that already have the holes pre-drilled in the top. So all you have to do when you're starting to solder your board is to glue those 4 pieces down in the bottom corners of the box so that the 4 holes are there and ready to drop the circuit board in when you're done. The glue will be plenty dry by then. Kind of next to him, that is WA0ITP, and that's Terry, who is one of the great minds behind the 4-state QRP group. And he's holding the red AA0ZZ 40-meter receiver kit. And that's a real fun kit. It was featured on the front page of QST last summer, and I featured it in my column as well in CQ Magazine. A very easy kit to put together. The case is made out of circuit board material. So you've got pieces of PC board that are soldered together on their edges, and it makes a neat double shielded case that's extremely strong and durable. So and the markings are already printed on it, so no need for a label maker or anything. When you're done, your knobs are already marked, like volume and tuning and the power light and the switches and the jacks and everything are all marked on the circuit board. So all you got to do is put it together and you have yourself a working receiver. This is Rod, K0DAS. He is our Midwest Division ARL Director. And since he was from Cedar Rapids, he was about an hour's drive away. And so he came along with Bob McCaffrey, K0CY, who was a section manager for the state of Iowa. From me, this was about a 350-mile each-way trip to eastern Iowa. This is a picture. Now, like I said, some of these are out of order, and this is one that's just about enough to make you cry. This is a Collins KWM2 that was in a house fire, and so pretty much destroyed. And they were showing what happened to it. Before the fire, of course, it was in beautiful cherry shape and on the air. And so this was at Deerfield in New Hampshire at Nearfest. And when I saw that, I had to take a picture, and it's a very sad sight to see a poor KWM2 pretty much wiped out. There was some pretty unique radios, all band receivers on the table there as well. Neat things to look at, and all for sale. We can kind of zoom in on that because these are high-res photos, and you can see the bands that it covers, and quite a neat little radio. I'd never heard of a Wayfarer before, but in good shape for an old radio. This is K1USN, which is a club, and they had stuff for sale as well as their T-shirts and memberships. Lots of clubs and organizations had setups where their members could sell things at Nearfest. Nearfest is in Deerfield, New Hampshire, and it's actually held twice a year. It's held the first weekend in May, and it's held in October as well. So at both times of the year, it's kind of chilly there in New Hampshire, but it's a wonderful place to visit both in the spring and the fall. This is out of order, and it's probably because of the photo numbers from my small camera and my big camera. This is the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, and which is where I was last weekend. And it's quite a landmark. I had never been there before, so I thought I'd take some pictures. And if you go to the top of it, this is the view that you get over the city of St. Louis from 630 feet in the air. And the ride up is in kind of the elevator's not one that you stand up in. It's more like a booth that you have to crawl in through a hatch and sit down in, and then you sit down and ride up for 4 minutes to get to the top, and then crawl out and go up some stairs, and now you're in this arched top, and you can take some beautiful pictures of the city below. But this was the destination. This was the Halloween Hamfest, put on by the St. Louis Amateur Radio Club. There are 2 major ham fests in the St. Louis area and then some smaller ones way out in the burbs. But I was told that this is the second biggest one with attendance of about 800 or so. The biggest one, which is around 1,100 to 1,200 hams, occurs at the end of January in the St. Louis area, but it's actually about 20, 30 miles to the east in a place called Collinsville, Illinois. And that's called the St. Louis Winter Fest. So if you can brave the snowstorms and blizzards that we have in the Midwest, and you're lucky and the weather is good, you get to Winterfest, and that is the biggest ham fest in the St. Louis metro area. This was my first time ever to a ham fest in the St. Louis metro area, and was a great time. This is from Cedar Rapids again. This goes to the Cedar Rapids Summerfest in Cedar Rapids. In August, and this was a VHF UHF rover station antenna. This was on an SUV, and he's got antennas for everything from 6 meters, 2 meters, 220, 440, 900, 1200, and 2300, and all going into this SUV. Quite a set of antennas, and he is a formidable rover and usually brings in a pretty good score during the contest. There are high power amplifiers in there as well, so he puts out a really good signal on VHF and UHF.
I'd love to know how much miles he gets to the gallon with that thing strapped to the roof.
I really don't know, but it was like a Chevy Blazer, I think, or something like that. This is a close-up of the prototype of the kit radio that we were talking about earlier. Like I said, these things are kind of out of sequence. You got your volume, regen, receive attenuator, transmit receive switch, your tuning, your headsets, power supply, your antenna. You got a crystal there. And this knob here is actually a key. And that's part of the kit, and you'll be able to just tap your CW on that, or you can hook up an external key or keyer to the jack that's right next to it. So it's really all self-contained, and you can put a headset in there as well, fold it up, and then when you open it up, away it goes. Now, the neat thing about this kit, kind of going back to kits, is you can put the 8 AA battery holder in the bottom, and you can keep spare crystals and so forth in there, and it makes for an interesting little radio. Now, you notice there's 2 circuit boards in this, and they kind of form a sandwich with hardware, and that's how it's constructed. So it goes down in one piece into the box, and goes together very nicely, very easy to service. We'll zoom in here. You can see the detail here. That's the key. It just taps onto that standoff, makes contact, and that's your built-in key. He's making it so it's a little less stiff than what that one was, but don't forget this was prototype number 1, and the final version is a lot more refined. In fact, the front panel is exactly the opposite. The front panel, instead of being black with white, is a light color with dark lettering. So it looks a lot nicer. And I have seen the final color scheme, and it looks great. And like I said, watch for this kit. It's going to be called the Paraset, and will be available from the 4-State QRP group at 4sqrp.com. That's 4sqrp.com. Look for announcements on that kit. When you go to Nearfest in New Hampshire, this is the kind of scenery you get in October. And being a photographer, I couldn't pass up taking some pictures along the way. This is up in Maine, and absolutely beautiful scenery that you see up there, Marty. You're lucky to live in an area that has a lot of trees. We have trees here, but they don't get as tall and not quite as colorful as they get there. All we see is the corn turning from green to brown this time of year. But this is another shot up a farm lane in Maine. and absolute beautiful fall colors. So it's worth a trip to go there. Just lots of beautiful colors, beautiful scenery. Just get off the beaten path and take a couple of pictures, and you'll be rewarded with photos like this that you could print, frame, and put them on your wall as wonderful scenery. You can take some close-ups too, if you like. I think I did pretty good with this close-up. I was lucky I didn't get stung. I was that close. I was probably not farther than about 8 inches with my lens from the subject on this. So I was fortunate that the bee decided not to sting me. And this is another neat picture with the seagull in the foreground. This is a lighthouse at York, Maine. And this lighthouse was pictured in the movie The Perfect Storm. And it is actually a working Coast Guard lighthouse and is manned round the clock. And just a beautiful scenery that, of course, we don't see here in the middle of the country. A few personalities showed up. On the left is Katie. WY7YL from Wyoming. She was in Connecticut to visit her brother, and so was only a few miles away. On the far right is her mother, WY7 Mom, WY7MOM. And in the middle is Nisi, that's KA1ULN, and it was great to see her for the first time at a Hamfest as well. In fact, this was the first time seeing Katie's mom or Nisi, and it was great to meet all of them and see them in person when I went to New Hampshire. At Deerfield, everything is pretty much outside except for a couple of inside exhibit buildings. So a lot of flea marketing is tailgate style and pickup trucks full of good fleas. There was actually a lot of good quality stuff at this Hamfest and quite enjoyable. Yes, the weather was very chilly, so I wore a hoodie. Keeps you warm. But that's half the fun of the outdoor flea market there at Deerfield. Lots of neat stuff on the ground and on tables and so forth. A big pile of Drake equipment and microphones and meters and radios. All in all, wonderful time. There was a cool looking Hammerland in this car, and a lot of stuff in pretty good shape. Now, this guy is familiar to those of us in the QRP world. He's from Maine, so he wasn't far from home at all. This is Rex, W1REX, and you'll hear me refer to him quite often when I talk about the rock mite kits and the tuna tin kits. He is the guy that produces those, and so it was wonderful to see Rex and pick up a kit from him while at Nearfest.
I just got to interject here. One of the things that Joe was so kind enough to do when I was at Nearfest with him, we met up, is he bought me these. He got me a gift. I'm not sure how well you can see these. These are made by QRP Me, which is Rex, and I'm holding up. Joe can't see. I think they call them the brass. What's the term for them?
It's called a brass set.
A brass set.
And what they are for is for holding up circuit boards, especially the round tuna tins, but actually any circuit board, so that you can work on it without bending your parts when you have it turned upside down.
So you see here, Joe can't, but you guys will. That these small brass things. Your board goes right in that little slot there, and then you tighten these down. But then these become the feet to support your board, and you can flip it over still and be able to get to everything. So it's really quite simple, but to me, very important, and definitely changed the way I make kits, that's for sure.
Yes, and Rex produces those himself. He has his own metalworking area and so forth, and these are actually cut from brass and with nylon hardware. So he calls them a brass set, and it takes a brass set to put those out. So he did really good.
And they're very high quality.
Very good, and I use them all the time on my bench as well. Okay, I think he's switched back to the photos.
Yep.
Okay, and who's this motley crew here? Of course, this is Marty and his dad. And it was just an absolute great time to ride with them to a Patriots game, only the second NFL game I've ever seen in my life. And it was Tom Brady's homecoming after being suspended, and he put on a show. But Marty's dad has been to games for 42 years or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And knows everything there is to know about the Patriots, including the current and past Nebraska players that played for them. So it was great to spend time with Marty and his dad at the Patriots game. I got to meet one of the Minutemen, and they actually fire these muskets every time they score. And they stand in the end zone. And like I said, after a score, you'll hear a volley from at least 20 of these muskets. And it's very loud when they do it. And here I am posing with the musket and one of the older of the Minutemen who actually do that.
Who was on the firing line, too. He
Yes.
was one of the ones firing the...
Yeah, he was actually one of the ones that actually fires on the firing line. During the game, they did a card stunt for breast cancer, and so it was kind of a pink out, and that's what the display looked like in the stadium. And while we were holding up the cards. So it was a fun time to watch them beat the Bengals. And here's kind of one of my close-up shots of our quarterback there, Tom Brady, and we'll zoom in there. And I did that with the big camera, but not my biggest lens. And still the photo came out pretty darn good, don't you think, Marty?
That's a pretty great photo. And Joe snuck this camera into the game completely, legally or anything, but it's a small camera, but amazing quality. And you must have taken a couple thousand photos on that trip?
I took quite a few. So that concludes this part of it. I'm going to switch back here. I need to let me see here. I need to find some more pictures from this past weekend. And I don't know why they don't show up, because I have a whole series of them that I took. I think I know why, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they're not showing up in this collection of photos. It may have been that the camera put them in another folder and they did not get copied over. But I have another series of photos that I took with Emmett, and we got to try an antenna. Jill, KD8QGA, made the trip as well, and she got to see how Emmett makes antennas. And it was neat to visit Radio Waves and see how he makes his wire antennas and his hex beams, the Sentinel. And I got to be the first operator to make a contact with the new modified version of the Sentinel antenna, which also had 40-meter capability as well. So I really apologize, but that is not here. So we'll just switch back to the camera here.
You got to play with that Icom 7300 as well, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and that's why I'm having a tough time finding those photos. But somehow they must have gotten put into another folder. But that was my first time trying an Icom 7300, and the first time trying the Sentinel Expedition with 40-meter capability. And the 40-meter is actually quite directional. We could null out the interference from a power line transformer across the parking lot. And you could hear the signal go from an S3 to 10/9 when we turned the antenna on 40 meters. So it really is quite directional. I don't think it has a lot of gain on 40, but it definitely has directivity, which is just as good at that band because you can null out the interference from the sides and from the back. Made several contacts, including with you.
Yeah,
and with Katie, and so you actually heard me making some of my very first contacts.
Yeah, that was very fun. A great day. That was I think it was the afternoon before the CQ Worldwide DX contest, and I was actually getting ready at the contest station I used for the contest, and I spun a stack of Yagis at you, and
he was about 20 to 30 over 9 to us in Missouri on 20 meters. Very, very strong signal.
I that's what happens when you have 3 stacked Yankees.
Yeah, that helps a lot. But the Sentinel hex beam was quite impressive, very directive. SWR very low because the auto tuner in the Icom hardly did anything when you hit the button. It seemed to be all set as it was.
It's a really quick tuner in that radio, I gotta say. Yeah, I used those a pair of 7300s this weekend for the CQ Worldwide DX contest, configured for SO2R, and I just gotta say, it's a killer radio.
Yeah, it's incredible. In fact, the digital noise reduction is very different than most DSPs that we're used to hearing. This particular one, I didn't even realize it was on until I turned it off. Because a lot of noise reduction sometimes distorts or changes the way things sound. This did not at all. In fact, it sounded perfectly natural with it on, and it took the noise from like about an S9 to about a 1 or a 2. And when I turned it off, I realized, wow, this noise filtering is incredible. So hats off to Ray and the guys at Icom. The 7300 to me is a hit. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a very simple radio to work, even if you're a beginning operator. The 2 knobs for the DSP are very easy to manipulate, and if you decide that you don't like the settings, you just push in on the knob and it resets it to default, and you can set your filters again. Absolutely instinctive.
And
the only thing I had to learn
too.
Yeah, you can actually kind of design your own filter and so forth on it. I had to be shown how to change bands, and Emmett had a stylus, so in case you had something on your hands you didn't want to get on the screen, he had a tiny little cell phone stylus, and you just touch that to the screen, and I discovered that obviously touching it to the megahertz part of the frequency display put up a touchpad that you could just pick which band you wanted to go to, you tap that, and boom, you're on another band. So a lot of controls that would normally be knobs and buttons and switches are on the touchscreen. And the touchscreen is not a lot bigger than would be on like a cell phone. But very, very sharp display, easy to read. I had a lot of fun with that radio, and it was very impressive, and people on the other end just loved our audio.
Yeah, it's a great radio, and I was very pleased. The only thing that I guess I could say disappointed me about this radio was that with the pan adapter on, you could see all the disgusting signals coming out of Europe with the just 400 watt Italian stations. But they're very low power, but magically they're 60 over S9 when the band is closed. But they're 10 kcs wide splattering.
Yeah, and you could see that. You could see the whole band at once, which is similar to what I see on the 7600. But the display on this seemed to refresh even faster than what I have. And watching the waterfall and watching the peaks on the band with the 7300, it was a wonderful experience. You could see why the band was not in good shape, but there were some good, strong signals on there, and Marty, you were one of them.
Yeah, well, it's a killer radio, and Icom seems to have really nailed that down. I'm intrigued to see what they do with the rest of their lineup.
And Emmett had some absolutely wonderful antennas. In fact, I bought 2 of them, and they are home with me, and that will be the subject probably of another discussion. I got a Saturn 4-40 from him, as well as a 30-meter double bazooka, which is going to be used for a propagation beacon.
Well, those are really just terrific. Well, I think if that's about that for this, I think Tom is about to come in a minute here, and I think Tom's going to say hi. How does that sound?
Okay, and hopefully I'll be able to hear him. Also, if there's any questions, let's see if there's any questions from the chat.
Sure. Let's see. I didn't see any immediately here. If anybody in chat has a question, feel free to just put it in there now.
Yeah, because I can't see the chat right now because I don't have the tablet running.
Yeah, I don't really see anything in there. But I think I'll give Tom a minute or two just so we can kind of get to his video studio, and then maybe we'll try giving him a call. But so I just have to ask, where's the next Hamfest?
Where's the next Hamfest? That's a good question because there's only one left for me this fall, and that would be a week from Saturday. And I will be speaking at the Raytown Hamfest, which is held at the Shrine Temple in Kansas City. And that's another situation of a twice-a-year spring and fall Hamfest. They have one in April put on by the Shriners, and then one in the fall put on at the Shriners building by another organization, the Raytown Club. So it's the Kansas City area, which is about 3 hours drive from here. And in fact, I went through that area on the way back from St. Louis. St. Louis is about a 6.5 hour drive from me, and Kansas City's about 3 hours. So much quicker to get to Kansas City, and that's where I'll be speaking a week from Saturday. And that's going to be kind of the end of the Hamfest season for me until probably Orlando in February, unless something comes up in January.
Yep. Well, so you go to how many every year? How many?
Too many. I've lost track. Yeah, too many. Next year, I'm going to miss a couple of them because of schedule conflicts. Won't be able to go to the one in Oklahoma, and won't be able to go to Huntsville because I want to make sure I can see the total solar eclipse right here in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, that will be terrific. And although this isn't exactly totally related to your talk, there was a question that came up in chat that I think you might want to take a stab at. Tony Casey to YPGS. My house has a metal roof, and I want to put up my HF NFED antenna, but will the metal roof affect receive or transmit at all? And I have an answer for that, but do you have any thoughts for that before I go?
Yeah, of course, obviously in the attic, it would be a no-go. Yes, the metal roof would be a problem. If it's an NFED antenna and you have the metal roof behind it, you'll be all right if it stretches out like from the roof to a tree or something. But if it's going over the roof, that would kind of make it a cloud warmer. It would just reflect most of the energy up, and it would affect the SWR quite a bit.
And but if you're kind of sloping away from the roof, I'm not a big NFED guy, so I'm not an, they have they're good antennas, but they're compromised antennas, and if you have that in mindset when you're putting them up, they will work terrific. But they're not stacked Yagis. But when you'll get on the air and you'll make contacts, and maybe something you can do is consider grounding the shield of the coax of the other side of the NFED to the roof if it's sloping away, and that may actually that may act as ground to some extent.
Yep. And for those who put vertical antennas on a metal roof, you have an advantage because you have a complete radial system in your roof. I have seen people that do that. They'll put up a TV tripod or something on the metal roof and put the vertical there, and you don't see ground radials because the roof makes a pretty good radial.
Yeah, I have a friend, Crossy, K1LZ, who has a big superstation up here in Massachusetts, and he actually has 80 meter and 40 meter, and I believe 160 meter, I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on it, 4 squares, phased vertical arrays, on top of his factory building, which is all metal, and that they work very well.
Oh, yes, it definitely would. And my experience with 40-meter four squares at the radio farm in Iowa is wonderful. I was introduced to those, and it's a pretty amazing antenna, especially on 40 meters. And so good luck with yours this winter with the DX. It was great to see you, and it was great to see your dad as well when I was in New Hampshire. And thank you for being such kind hosts. And now we'll see if we get Tom in here.
Yep. Well, it was definitely a blast to get you in here, and I'm actually let's see if we can get Tom in here on Skype. I'm just gonna give him a quick call here, and we will see what happens. I'm not 100% sure as to how well this will all come out here, but we will give it a try, that's for sure.
And there he is.
There he is.
Yeah. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi, Tom. I'll just wait a second for your video to pop up here. It's taking its good time.
All right.
Just stand by, Tom.
All right. Well, you are a long ways away.
There you go. You're up.
All right. Hey guys.
How you doing?
Hey man, I want to tell you something. First of all, thanks to Joe and Marty tonight for putting on a show. Great job. Marty has done a great job connecting all this together and bringing in remote users and putting on the audio to the shortwave station. And just a wonderful job up here. It takes a lot to do this, and tonight was Marty's first time to do it. Sounded really good. Marty, I had a little trouble at the beginning, and I don't know what caused this, but on my desktop PC, it's always worked before. I come back off of vacation. I'm hearing the music, the show intro. I'm hearing Joe, but you're not there. I can turn the audio all the way up, and you weren't there. Joe's there, everybody else is there, but you're not there. So I went over to Kathy's PC, and she had audio on both of you guys. And I tried, I closed my browser, I opened my browser, I tried to pop out, I tried going to YouTube Direct. Your audio was never there on that PC. Got any ideas?
Nah, I don't know. Joe, maybe you have an idea? Joe's the technology specialist.
Well, no, I don't, because I'm not really an expert on this end. Even though I'm an IT guy, I'm not an expert on this system because I've never used this
You're a hardware
software.
IT guy.
That's right. I'm a hardware man, the helpful hardware man.
The HHM, helpful hardware man.
Well,
Again,
I just want to say thank you to both of you guys, and again, especially to Marty tonight. It took a big commitment from Marty to put this thing on. He did a great job, excellent job, and very proud of it. This was the first time I've got to actually sit back and see the show. So I was sitting in the office in there with my feet propped up, and I watched the show tonight, which is a little bit, kind of different experience for me. So I kind of like it, and I'd like to do it more often. And what I've always tried to tell people is that, this show is not about me. If I can get enough people to be on here, heck, I'll back out and I'll come in maybe once a month, and talk with you guys. But anyway, we took about a week off. We had our show last Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, I left to go over to our home over in North Carolina. And Kathy had already gone over with a friend, and her husband and I left Wednesday morning right after the Tuesday night show. And we stayed over there until today. We stayed almost a week in the mountains, the Smoky Mountains over in western North Carolina. And it was pretty neat over there. I always take a radio with me and set up a little portable operation. And I didn't get to operate too much this trip. Man, it kept me busy. Marty, have you got a little video there we show? I want everybody to see a short clip. Now, you're going to have to watch closely. This is what I was doing in North Carolina, And this is just a little teaser. This is about 1 minute and 30 seconds of something I was doing. So
you did something crazy. Let's roll the video here.
See if anybody can figure out what I was doing.
All right. Just a week. Oh, a week. Well, we've got a home over here in North Carolina, so we'll come over occasionally.
That's a nice break, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's hang tight here.
Okay.
Wait for that clear. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is like the best.
And if you're on shortwave watching this, you're probably not going to hear much. But as you'll see, or as you'll hear, Tom in the shot right now actually looks like a monkey. He is strapped to a wire, ziplining, high up in the forests of North Carolina, with a GoPro strapped to his helmet. And I just gotta say, the view is incredible. Almost looks like he knows what he's doing, to be honest.
All right.
You had fun there? There we go.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, we had fun. That zip line was quite large. We had about 10 different lines that we were on. And that particular shot you saw me on right there, I think it was close to 1,000 feet. And I think the height was 220, 230 feet, I believe. So we were actually kind of zipping over the trees there. I tried to turn my head as I went over the valley to get a shot right and left, but you don't have a whole lot of time. You got to get ready for landing at the other end, and you got to brake. And of course, the way you brake is you put your hand on the cable and slow yourself down.
So they gave you training.
Yeah, they gave us about 30 seconds of training. Yeah, so it was good. It was fun. I did enjoy it, and nobody got killed, nobody fell or got hurt or anything like that, and it was kind of cool. I've got quite a number of those videos that we took, and that was actually filmed with a GoPro on my helmet, and I think I'll buy a GoPro now. I think I can use it for the show. That thing really makes good pictures. And it looks like it has an HDMI output on it. I can use it live. So I'll be ordering a GoPro probably the next few days. While I was in North Carolina, I always take an auto antenna tuner, some ground radios, a wire for a vertical antenna, and my TS570. And I made a video, and we'll see that in about 2 weeks, probably November the 15th. I'll run that video once I get it edited, and we're going to show you my operation in the Smoky Mountains from putting the antenna up all the way from installing or putting the antenna tuner at the base of the tree in an 80-foot vertical piece of wire, which we shot over the tree with an air cannon, one we built, and we'll show you that, and put the radios down in the operation, and show you how the antenna worked, and we'll flip around through a couple bands on there and show you how well it tunes. That thing tunes just about anywhere. It was just great. So
there's some incentive to come back.
Yeah. So I just want to make one other announcement about next week, November the 8th. We've decided not to have a show next Tuesday, November the 8th. That is election night. And I'm afraid, who knows what's going to happen November the 8th, man. There's going to be tailgate parties. There's going to be parties. There's going to be people crying and sad. There's going to be people that maybe have to leave the country. I have no idea, you know. So anyway, you know, no show next Tuesday, November the 8th. But on November the 15th, we're going to have Michael Coulter with us from DARA. We're going to see some more video about the new Hamvention location. Michael's going to talk to us in detail about, you know, what has developed and where they are now and the status of that. And I'll probably run the video about my portable operation, how we set up in the Smokies and made some contacts. So that's pretty much what's going to happen the next 2 weeks. Hey, I do want to say hello to Robert there at WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine. And tonight we're streaming this whole show from Marty. Is it? Hey, what's the city?
Newton. Newton, but
Newton, okay.
Waban is the village in Newton, but Newton is the town.
That's not what's in QRZ.
Yeah, Waban is the postal address.
Oh, okay, up from Newton, Massachusetts.
Yep.
So, hey, you know, we didn't have to stream very far to the radio station from Massachusetts up to Maine. You guys are pretty close up there, so
maybe we'll go live from WBCQ one of these days.
Yeah, maybe so. Okay, so hey guys, that's about.
I still have the pictures.
What was that?
I still have some pictures. I'll show just three quick ones.
Let's go back to Joe because he had a couple pictures that he can throw in here. And again, just hey, I just want to say one last time, boy, I am so happy. Look at my smile. I'm so happy about the night, boy. We drove 10 hours today to get home. We got home right before the show started. And 10 hours, 500 miles. Kathy drove about 3/4 of the way. We get places faster when Kathy drives because it's usually about 90. You know, if I wake up, hey, if I look over there and we're doing 80, that's because we're behind some car in the left lane. That's the only problem that we have. So anyway, it was a pleasure driving home, knowing that the show was under control. And I really thank you guys. And I hope we can do this again, and we know we got to back up. Marty, thanks for doing everything and figuring out how to switch all this stuff, and great job, and I'll fix my PC here. Let's take it back to Joe. Good night, everybody. 73.
Good night. Thanks so much for jumping in here, and it's our pleasure to do the show tonight.
Hey, Marty, are we going to have a hangout at the end of the show?
Yes, we should have a hangout if all goes well.
Okay, if you will post that link a few times in the chat room.
Yeah, it seems actually like the old link works.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, we can try the old link and see if it works. It might work tonight, you know.
If not, I have a backup.
Okay, we'll try the old link tonight. Okay, very good. We'll see everybody after the show on Hangout, and back to Joe.
Okay.
All right. This is Joe, K0NEB in Nebraska. So we had Nebraska and Tennessee and Massachusetts all linked up and shortwave via Maine. Let's share our screens again. And we've just got a couple more pictures we're going to show that we didn't get to. All right, you got that one up.
Yep, the hex beam is up.
Okay, this is Emmett, and he's hooking up the coax to the hex beam before we raised it up. Where he works on these things is kind of in a low spot and surrounded by these concrete walls. So it's pretty darn amazing. Even when it's all cranked up, it's still behind a building and so forth and not visible from the street, and still puts out a great signal. Emmett is an absolute expert when it comes to wire antennas, and these hex beams he puts out are a sterling example of it. If you'll notice that this beam has some unusual things, you can see these things I'm moving my cursor up to. I'm going to take a close-up picture here, and you can take a look there, and you'll see that that's kind of a loading coil, and that's to allow for 40 meters on this antenna. And what he's done is he's added a 40-meter element. It is directive, but it doesn't really have a lot of gain, but it sure gets rid of the noise and the interference on the sides. And this is a better look at it. You can see the four loading coils two on the reflector and two on the driven element. And like I said, it doesn't have a lot of gain on 40, but it has a high amount of directivity. We were able to take a signal that was S3 and bring it up to easily 20/9 when we turned the 40 meter, as well as the other bands. And this particular antenna covers all the bands from 40 to 6 meters. It covers 40, 20, 17, 15, 12, 10, and 6 meters. Quite an antenna. This is the Sentinel Expedition, and Emmett did a wonderful job with that antenna. Here's kind of a more distant look at it as it's being cranked up. You can see my car there, and I think you can see the dog over there. And we had a tent set up so we could operate out there and test this new modification to his antenna. And so I was very pleased to be the first person to make a contact with it, and it certainly met with my approval. And this is the radio we were using, the Icom 7300. And you can look and you can see the waterfall, and you can see these diagonal lines. Those were interfering signals, noises in the area. And you can see a lot of noise in the background. So, of course, when we turned the antenna, we could reduce it quite a bit. But the amount of noise we heard in the speaker was tremendously reduced because we used the DSP noise reduction. So that's the end of the pictures, and we'll see if we can get our Skype.
Yeah, leave that picture up for 1 second.
Okay, hold on.
If you look, there you go. Don't touch anything.
Oops.
It's still up there.
I lost it.
It's still up there from my view, so just don't touch anything.
Okay.
If you look at that, oh nope, you lost it.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Anyways, if you took a close look at that display, you'd see that there is actually a SD card slot right on the front of the radio. And one thing that is neat that you can do with one radio, but absolutely really key that you can do, especially like last weekend when I had the radio set up for SO2R contesting, single operator 2 radio, 1 radio in each ear, is that you can clone the radios over that SD card. So I set up all the settings for the way I wanted one radio to work, set in all the band edges, rig control, all those things. And then I was able to then just clone it with an SD card, stick it in the other radio, press a button, and I had 2 identical radios, which if you ask me is pretty cool.
Yep, saves doing a lot of settings. I know my 7600 I can clone to another one as well, but the 7300 I'm sold on that. It's small, it's very light for what it is, and absolutely the most fun little radio I think I've ever used in terms of like SDR and so forth. Absolutely cool little radio. Marty, it has been wonderful seeing you when I was in New Hampshire, and thank you for being a great host, and you and Tom for putting on the show, and I'm glad to always help. So I think we're time to do the Hangouts. So we'll say 73s for now from K0NEB in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay, we'll say 73 to you, Joe. I'm going to drop you on Skype here, and we will see if we can get the Hangout here, everybody. So it's going to take me a second, and excuse me, but hopefully, let's see. If anybody is already, I don't see anybody in the Hangout yet. But if anybody wants to jump in the Hangout, oops, wrong button. I'll be waiting there. So so far there's nobody in the Hangout, but we'll wait a few minutes and maybe Tom will join in eventually. I don't really know, but we shall see. So well, I guess we'll just stand by for a minute or two, and Maybe if you are in chat or just want to find the URL, you can go to bit.ly/1MJAJ Again, that is bit.ly/1MJAJ and we'll be standing by just there for a few minutes. And it's also the top of the IRC chat. Let's see if we can. I think we should actually be able to show that off here. If you go into chat, you can see here is the IRC chat channel for the show. And if you go up into here to the top, you can find the URL for that. And to get to the chat, just go to if you're listening on shortwave maybe, and you want to find the chat, just go to W5KUB.com, W5KUB.com if you're listening on WBCQ 9330 in Monticello, Maine, and we seem to be doing well there. Well, I don't really see anybody in the Hangout. Oh, seems like we got Tom here. Okay, let's see if Tom comes through on the Hangout. Tom?
Yeah, Marty, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I gotta try to get my camera set for here. Hang on.
Okay.
All I gotta do is figure out. I'm using a different camera tonight.
And I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the feed to the shortwave station if that's okay with you, Tom.
That's fine. Yeah. There we go. All right.
There he is.
Yeah, you got my picture there. Okay, cool. All right, I guess it's just me and you.
Yep, just me and you. And
So,
we'll wait and see if anybody else joins. Oh, there's some more.
There we go. We got that's Mike.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Marty.
How you doing?
Doing good. Good show tonight.
Cool.
Thanks.
Hey,
it was a blast to do.
It was a better show because I wasn't there, man.
I won't
Hey,
say
that's not true.
I got to be a guest tonight.
Good to be a guest. How does that feel, Tom?
Oh man, it was wonderful.
Oh,
I want to do it more and more, man. You know.
yep.
Yeah. We'll do it. We'll do it more.
Yep.
Yeah, you did. You've been doing so many, Tom. Doesn't hurt for you to take a night off.
Well, you know, I was just thinking and counting. This is our 20th. That's 20th month on this show, and we've been on every Tuesday. I think I missed two shows. I think one we had a death, and there was a funeral, and I missed it. And I think one, I may have been on a cruise. So in 20 months, I think I've missed two.
That's
but
pretty good.
This is what I'm shooting for right here, man. I wanted to fix a way that it could go on without me, you know.
Yep.
Well, don't put it that way. Without you, we still want you around.
We still want you around. Yeah. Don't go away.
Well, I saw Doc. I saw Doc in the chat room. I thought Doc would be joining us probably. WA4. What is it? YMY, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, did I hear something? I thought I heard somebody.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yep. Well, don't put it that way. Without you, we still want you around.
Yeah. Well, somebody. I
saw Doc in the chat room.
Or Emmett, you have to mute.
Yeah, you got the audio coming through from the show.
Yeah, you're feeding it back around, damn it.
Oh, okay. Let me get out of that.
Yeah, just close or mute the webcast.
There, how's that?
Better. Almost like you know what you're doing.
I think that's better. Okay, cool. Well, hey, see, by you doing the show tonight, we've got the pleasure of having Emmett join us now. He never joined Hangout when I had it.
Oh.
Yeah, I did a couple times.
I don't know about Hangout, man. I don't know about that.
Well, the problem is, it was like 10 o'clock when we finally got to the hangout.
Well, yeah, it was. It was. Sometimes it was run a long time. Yeah. So, man, I need to go back and look. I was going to look at the.
Yeah, but you got to put the light in front of you, not behind you.
Oh, is that how that works?
Oh.
All it seems is a shadow.
You know,
the witness protection program.
Emmett does. He builds antennas. He doesn't do video. He's a face for radio too, but
Yeah, something like that.
There we go.
there you go. There he is.
There. See?
So the Cubbies won?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. They better.
It's 7-2. I think they're on into the 7th inning starting now.
Yep.
As in the Cubbies are in the lead?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, they're just hanging on, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, bottom of the 6th, 7-2.
Yep.
Chicago.
Well, Marty, you did a good job, just to let you know.
Thanks, Emmett.
It was so weird, the problem I had tonight.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I think it's all about computers sometimes and the way they kind of sync up with things.
Yeah, but it's getting the feed from YouTube. It's all coming from Marty. Just get the feed.
I know, but the other thing is, there are times when I try to hook up with you, and I didn't change anything on the computer, but all of a sudden it wouldn't connect.
Yeah.
So I had to go use the system.
So who wants to hear a funny story on this one?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it.
So as you guys know, the show goes live to WTWW, not WTWW, WBCQ. Sorry, and shortwave station in Monticello, Maine. Nice station. So I have to stream the audio out there, right? So to do that, there's a piece of software that you send the audio through. Well, I was having an issue at home. So let's see if I can actually. You're not going to see it on that. If you look on the W5KUB stream, you see two laptops in the back. Oh, there's Rochelle. Hi on Emmett's shot. There's two laptops there, and those are actually what is making. That's what's making the video, the audio go to the shortwave station. So one laptop has the audio coming out of YouTube, and the other it's piped into the other computer, which goes to the shortwave station.
Oh, you got me confused now.
Well, it works.
I just took for the radio station. I just took the audio out of the PC that was running the encoder program.
Yep.
And just ran that audio over to.
Yeah, but the way I do that, it's not as easy. Yeah, with the workflow. Because Tom, I do it all on one computer.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yep.
You'd have to use something like virtual cable or something.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would have.
I have to start taking lessons from the kids.
Yeah, I know.
Emmett, so what's the next trick you have up your sleeve with antennas?
Well, I think that 40-meter add-on to the hex beam was pretty decent.
But so talk about this. How efficient is the thing?
Well, I understand it's a shortened antenna, so it's not going to be as efficient as a normal dipole. But where it makes up for things is its ability to cancel, the front-to-back ratio. So that means that, the noises and stuff like that would overwhelm the antenna are mostly being blocked by the by the reflector.
How much bandwidth do you see on it? Will it cover the whole band?
About 125 to 150 kilohertz.
Not bad. And what's the Yep. So what's the biggest antenna you make? The 40-meter hex, the full size?
Yeah, the Barrett. That is the monster of them all.
Yeah.
It's 44 feet, and it's a full half-wave hex beam, which gets about 8.5 to 9 dB forward.
Yeah.
With a front-to-back ratio of about 20 dB. Which
this weekend, guess what I'm working on right now?
What's that?
Full-size 4-element 40 OWA.
Woohoo!
It's a big antenna.
We're gonna be down. I'm gonna be down in Stone Mountain, Georgia, with Hannah and the kids and all that.
Yep.
And we're gonna be operating off of the hex beam. And in this situation, though, we're gonna be hooking up an Icom 7851 to the 40-meter element.
Yep.
And then we're gonna hook up a 7300 up to the 20-6 element. And we'll have bandpass filters.
Yep.
So we'll be able to have one radio dedicated to 40. And the other radio can pretty much pick up whatever, what band you want to go on, 20-6, and play all at the same time.
I gotta say, this weekend at the contest station I used, I had a stack of huge tri-banders on 45-foot booms, and
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, the 8 elements on 10 meters. It's 8 over 8 over 8. I felt very loud, but we had one of those 403A triplexers.
Yeah.
And I was running 1.5 kilowatts SO2R on each radio. It's crazy.
Well, anyway, does your basic hex beam run 10, 15, and 20? Is that what it is?
No, the basic hex beam goes 20-6.
22.
6, 10, 12, 15, 17, 20.
Oh, okay. Because my tri-bander just blew off the roof the other day.
Uh-oh.
My rotor went in half, so I'm debating whether to put that back up or something else.
Well, the thing we've discovered is we love how quiet the hex beam is. Joe had a really good experience. We have a transformer. One way I can always kind of measure noise is I'll point the antenna at the transformer, and that you can't hear anything without estimating as far as noise. Rotate the antenna around, and you can't hear anything. Matter of fact, the noise level goes down almost to the ground, and you can hear whatever's going on the other side of the antenna, which is nice.
That sounds right if you're saying there's 20 dB front to back.
Yep.
Will that hex beam, I got a 10-foot tripod that I've had my tripod there. Will that, on my garage room, would that mount on my 10-foot tripod?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, we got a lot of people who just use like regular TV tripods on their roof with a simple rotator because it's less than 2 square foot. Yeah. It's 19.
Hey guys,
because I've got your radio wave 80 and 40 meter double bazookas I'm operating right now with. I don't know.
Okay, hey guys, breaking news.
Uh-oh.
With a little reading here and using my brain, what little was left.
What's that? Describe that again for you.
I know now why I was not hearing Marty.
Why?
Well, I'm reading in a chat room. There was a couple other people, and it said I thought Marty was muted at first, as I only had one of my earbuds in. When I put the other earbud in, I heard him. Well, listen, my computer speakers, one of them has this crackling static that just drives you crazy. So I unplugged either the right or the left speaker. I only had one speaker on. So you were coming out one channel.
Yeah, I figured it out halfway through. I was mixing only the left channel on my audio, but I mixed them both down to stereo later once I realized and it was okay.
Yeah. So
yep.
So
it should be okay now, Tom.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not a problem. At least I can understand now what happened. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey. Let me ask him. Let me ask Doc something. I see Doc's in there now. Doc's in there, and who else is in there? I see Doc and the other Bill's in there. And hey, Doc, you said you had a GoPro. Which one you got?
I've got the GoPro 4. Let's see, it's the Hero 4 Silver.
Okay, what? Okay, I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, I looked at the Hero 4 Black. What's the difference between the black and the silver? Just the color?
No, the 4 has got a viewfinder on the back, and so you can actually watch the video on the back of the GoPro. So I thought that was an advantage, if you want to use it that way. So the black is a little bit more expensive, but not a whole lot more.
Maybe the black. One of those I think does 4K. Maybe the black one does 4K. Maybe that's the difference.
I think that's it. Yeah.
I don't know that I want that, but okay. So the silver and the black probably. You think they're the same or not?
Well, I don't think the black has a viewfinder on the back. I could be wrong, but
Okay.
you know, I think that the when I looked at them, I thought that the silver, even though it wasn't as high quality, had more utility.
All right, man. I'll have to look into that. I can see now it's going to take me a while before I order.
I have a friend who has the
Hey,
new.
Yeah, go ahead, Marty.
I have a friend who has the new top of the 7th, by the way, 7.2 Cubs. Yeah. I have a friend who has the. Ooh, let me switch to my camera. There we go. Just remembering to talk and switch the cameras takes practice. I have a friend who has the. I think it's the whatever the nice one is. The new 5 has a touchscreen on it where you can actually see the shot you're shooting, which seems to be about 100 times more useful. The one that just came out. I don't think I'm going to get one of those, but I do think I'm going to pull the trigger on a drone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd
I want
go with
to.
the drone.
What?
I'd go with the drone.
Yeah.
We use the, I don't have the 4, but I have the 3, have a pair of number 3 plus silvers, I think it is, that we use for like when we do like a time lapse or I do a perspective type stuff where I'll do multiple cameras doing the same thing.
And you'll switch them?
So I can. Well, yeah. What will happen is like when I'm assembling and disassembling like the hex beam. You know, I'm trying to put together some videos of, you know, step-by-step instructions and giving you a little bit more of a bird's eye view of how things come together and come apart and so on.
Yeah, we have a 4K video drone at school that we use a lot, which is just fantastic because you know, with image stabilization and whatnot, you stick it up in the air and you can get amazing shots with it. And you know,
you can also put a little thing on the bottom of it. You can run a string over a tree so you can hang your antenna.
Yep, there's a lot of people who've been talking about that. I've done I've done well with the fishing rod method though, Emmett.
I saw a video last night on Facebook that a guy put a light bulb in a socket with a drone.
Huh. Wow.
Wow.
Emmett, so when are you gonna?
Marty,
yeah.
So Marty, it looks like the girls are making you cookies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they ate all the dough.
Yeah, that seems how it goes. But unfortunately, I did kick their butts, and there's nothing they can do about that.
You definitely did good.
Yeah. I still wanna see. I may go down there and I'm gonna be visiting the Lees in Florida in December, and I definitely want to take a look at that hex beam. Very cool.
Yeah, they've got the Expedition, which is a very lightweight version of our hex beam, and it's designed for literally expeditions.
Yeah, because we're planning a bunch of stuff doing the Boston doing expeditions to the Boston Harbor Islands for the IOTA contest.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at things that are small and easy.
It weighs a whole 12 pounds.
Yep. I used phased verticals out there in salt water once, and that kicked butt, I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
Emmett, on this hex beam at 20 through 6, how's the wind load on that? I'm up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, right on the shore of Lake Superior.
Hey, you're a Youper, right? You're a Youper?
Yeah, I was a Youper. You betcha.
You betcha, eh? You see any UFOs up there? No,
not tonight.
Well, you got very, very little wind load. What did you say it had?
It's less than 2 square feet.
Less than 2 square feet. Hey, well, let me ask you a question, man. During our hangout here, we always try to, you know, think outside the box. Well, we think about all kinds of stuff here. And, you know, so, okay, less than 2 square feet. What if you sprayed those wires down with WD-40? You think that the wind would go over them a little better?
I'm not. Good thing you designed phone systems, Tom. Not mechanical engineering.
Well, I mean, that will reduce friction, and you know, as an engineer, wind blowing across the wire does cause friction.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you'd have to constantly spray it with WD-40. And the other side effect with WD-40 is that it will collect dust, which will create more of a problem.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yep.
But the thing is, you're looking at it's a symmetrical design, so it doesn't have a tendency of windmilling like a normal Yagi would. So when the wind blows on it, it's blowing equally all the way around.
Right.
So it doesn't have this windmill effect or the windmill effect that you know.
Yeah, I'm just whether to put my big old high gain Thunderbird tri-bander back up or not.
And it's a lot lighter. Hey.
So, Emmett, do you build any Yagis of any kind, or just the hexes?
I'm starting to build some moccasins.
Some moccasins.
Moccasins, the two element folded Yagis of sorts.
It's a Yagi. It's just that it's a little bit bigger than the hex beam, but smaller than a normal hex beam.
I've contested a lot with a pair of stacked 40-meter Moxons, and they seem to work well.
Yeah, they do, especially when you phase them together.
Yep.
It makes up for the loss that there's not really a lot of loss. You almost like a.
Yeah, they're very, and you actually get increased front to back. You see on the Moxons compared to a Yagi.
Yeah, it's like 30 dB front to back.
Yeah, which is actually which is a double-edged sword, because when I use them for contesting, if you have the stack pointed Europe and you want to work a southern mult,
it's not going to happen.
It either won't happen, or typically I have when I contest, typically on 40 meters, most stations will have a Yagi, Moxon or a 402 CD type shorty 40, and then they'll have most people will have like a Foursquare. So when you want to work a southern mult, you just switch to the Foursquare and call the guy.
Yeah. Now the one thing that I can say, the thing I really liked about the hex beam is that for a whole, if you were to look at the rotation of a hex beam for 360 degrees, a major portion of the time, the actual driver is almost surrounded by the reflector, and that's what gives it that nice side lobe rejection and rear rejection. So you've almost got 20 dB on the side as far as rejection is concerned, and that's a major thing too. So if you ever used a TH3, you've had lots of experience where you can pick up stuff on the sides really well.
Those are terrible. Okay. They're not terrible antennas, but they're not good.
They're problematic.
I don't like trap Yagis.
That's why. As a matter of fact, back when we first started looking at building the hex beam, George, who's now in SK, he was the main buyer for HRO. He says, Emmett, you need to start looking at building these hex beams. And I go, why, George? It's a beam. He only builds wire antennas. And he goes, but it's a wire antenna that's in the shape of a beam. And so anyway, I started looking at stuff on the internet and started playing around with it. And the next thing I know, I'm hooked on them.
So when did you start building them?
Oh, my goodness. I'd say about 6-7 years ago.
So when Traffy was still making them, the real hex.
Yeah. Yes.
I've used those. They're very. He made good antennas.
Yeah. He's a matter of fact. I have a lot of respect for Trafe. The difference in our design versus the Trafe design is we went with a little bit more broad-banded.
Yep.
In other words, so we cover the whole band. I love the idea of just being able to go to, for instance, like we did Hamcom in Dallas or in Las Colinas, Texas. And I love the idea that I could just set this antenna up on a balcony, hook up the amplifier, hook up the radio, and I'm done. I don't have to do anything.
Yep.
And it was the same radio that we used at Dayton. And, we had fantastic, low SWR, so we were able to use those Munster OEM amplifiers.
Yep. The amplifiers that are just good for 1,500 watts, right?
I couldn't believe it. 3,500 watts.
So 403A. He has the OM. I think it's the 5,000s. So on 20 meters, but they have 3 towers that they use on 20 meters at the same time. There's an amplifier for each tower. So when you hear 403A on 20 meters, he's running in the range of 15.
My goodness.
That's not watts.
Hey, Ray Novak.
Let me jump in.
Ray Novak is calling for a rematch with the girls. He says 100 watts and a wire style antenna
Okay, this is what we'll do.
during field day.
Okay, we both need the same antenna though, so you
I'll
gotta
take care of that for
you gotta come up here with a hex beam.
Hey, you know what? I just realized the hex beam is a wire antenna.
I know, but we need the same wire antenna.
Yeah, that's what I said. It'd be the same model, same design. Yeah, we could work something out.
Yeah.
It'll be
Well,
like
hey, if you want me to work you, you got to send one down here too. You know, and hey, Doc, you got a head. You got one.
I need one too, Tom.
I need one to go up and replace my tri-matter that blew off 2 weeks ago.
See, you know.
Let me let Bill jump in.
You know, Emmett has to do this something called what's that word? Money, Emmett? What's how do you, eventually? You know, there's
It's a hobby. It's a hobby.
Bill.
Hey, listen, Bill up in Massachusetts. You guys, and again, especially Marty tonight, it took a big commitment.
All right.
Hey, Bill.
Hello, Tom.
Hey, I know you tried
Hello,
to.
Tom.
I know you tried to jump in about 20 minutes ago, and we cut you off. So, how you doing tonight, man?
Don't worry about it. That's why I just sent that little note.
Yeah. Hey, I did hear you in North Carolina. I did hear you, I think, but boy, you were so weak. The conditions just weren't too good for us. Did you ever hear me? Or?
Yeah, the QSL card's on the way.
The what?
You know, Bill.
The QSL card is on the way.
When Joe and I were up in Nearfest, we saw Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he saw you up there.
Yeah. He was stalking me.
Stalker.
Oh, I was taking pictures.
Yeah. I have to deal with the paparazzi now.
That's right. You're the I don't know what you are. What
you know the one thing people ask more than
you're the goat on the screen.
You know the one people ask for more than anything?
What?
People always want an Icom hat because they're hard to get.
Oh, I had a whole closet. I gave a whole closet of them. I think I've been collecting hats at Hamvention for like 35 years, and we'd always pick up 6 or 8 there every time we were there. And I had enough different kind of hats. We could have ball teams, the Icom ball team and the Yaesu ball team.
Kathy, you know, the one year Yaesu handed out Yamaha.
She didn't think I needed like 50 hats, so we gave them all to Goodwill one day.
What was that, Emmett?
I said 1 year Yaesu gave out yarmulkes.
I didn't know there were Jews in Japan.
No, there was a mouse pad. Remember those mouse pads? You fold them up just right and they become yarmulkes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They're joking, Tom.
Okay. Well, hey, Jeffrey, I know it's getting late for you up there, man. How you doing tonight?
Good, very good. Good to see all of you, and I'll dump out of here in about 10 minutes.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'm gonna run eventually.
She'll come into New Jersey okay tonight. You know, we didn't originate it here tonight.
No, it was very good. Very good. Good job, Marty.
Thanks.
You guys did good, Marty. You and Joe. I'm gonna have to back out. I've got a early morning tomorrow. We got to get ready to head down to Stone Mountain, Georgia, where we're gonna set up with MCOM 1. So that means Mike Lee's gonna be there with that big MCOM 1 van with all the Icom and all that.
Oh, that great Icom gear, yeah.
Well, Emmett, I'd be glad to pay the shipping for a hex beam to test it out in New Jersey here.
No. My antenna came down, so I need another antenna on the roof up here in Marquette in the UP. So
give Rochelle a call. She'll talk to you.
Well, that's what I'm looking right now because I got the HRO catalog open, but they don't give me a price on your hex beam, so I got to call.
Call Rochelle. She's real nice. She'll take care of you.
Yeah, she'll give you free shipping, and HRO doesn't have them in stock. They've been doing this really cool thing, like when a customer buys it, they give us a PO about 2 weeks after the customer bought it. Then
that's not cool.
Oh yeah, that. We're just trying to get them to get inventory on that. I think Gigaparts has them in stock, and like I said, give Rochelle a call, take care of you.
Yeah, I think Gigaparts is where I ordered your double bazookas. I got the 80 meter and the 40 meter up. I think it was gigaparts I ordered from there for those.
There's Rochelle. She's walking. She's what? She's yeah. Wave there. Hi. I don't think she can't see me.
Yeah, she sees you. Well, yeah. Oh, she sees you, the goat.
Yeah, the goat. I'm not sending. You have to watch the live stream to see the video.
Marty the goat.
Marty the goat.
That's all I'm seeing is a goat.
Yeah, I can't. Let me push buttons.
Yeah, now I see a goat.
Well.
No, I saw a dog.
Watch Tom.
Marty,
Tom.
just go to the Hangout settings there and maybe change the camera.
Tom, can we kill the live stream and I'll just keep the Hangout?
Sure.